I'd like to get me hands upon the fat, all fogged up the stiff roundabout.
Here we are, and I've got my grandson here, Ryan, who's come all the way from New Zealand, the other side of the world, to make this film about the history of the Worsbrough railways. So,
when were you born?
I was born here in the village here, Worsbrough, not far up here. This house here, number 89. This, Ryan, is what we call the Worsbrough beast, the Bayer Garratt, the infamous Bayer Garratt. And it used to pull up the incline. We'll talk about that in a minute. Great big steam engine, what cost it £180,000. Telling a lie. It was £120,000. Now this is the Wombwell Main crossing, as the central line comes into the village of Worsbrough. And
as the line
here we are, we're just approaching Swathe viaduct. The line over Swathe is the old Midland line, the LMS. Now this is a central line in 1981, the week before it closed, and that is a wonderful shot of a steam train in 1900. And this is today, of course. That's a diesel multiple unit going over the Swathe viaduct on its way to Sheffield. This is today again, with the central line closed. And that is a wonderful drone shot. So we are back on the old line. This is the Lewden crossing. And that is the Lewden crossing as it is today on a cold and frosty morning. Again, the train now leaves Lewden and it's going towards Worsbrough crossing, passing another train. Don't forget, this is 1981 and that is Worsbrough crossing today. You all know this is the Puddle Oil, Boatman's Rest Pub, and that's the old line as it is today. On this side and all, that's Worsbrough crossing. So just leaving the pod. The line closed in 1981. It was a coal, mostly for coal. It came from the pits in the Dove Valley and took the coal to Fiddler's Ferry at Warrington. Here we are now. I've left the Worsbrough crossing and we're approaching the Glasshouse crossing in 1981.
To the severe gradients and subsidence problems.
Glasshouse crossing. And that, of course, is today, Glasshouse. You can just see the remnants of the line.
So how long is this line?
How long? Crossing. Well, it runs from Wath to Manchester. So roughly 40-50 mile. It carried all the coal traffic. Right, Ryan. So now we're at Worsbrough. Just leaving the Glasshouse crossing, and of course we're going to the Worsbrough Bridge crossing, or Brig Bottom as we locals call it, in 1981, the week before the line closed. That's the signal box, look, and that is a wonderful old cine film from 1959 which shows the crossing in all its glory. And then that, of course, is today Worsbrough Bridge crossing. Don't forget, we're goods only, but once a year the Bayer Club took a special club trip to Blackpool one way or Cleethorpes other. That's it, look, remnants of the line. Ryan filmed this on a cold and frosty morning, not like weather in New Zealand. And there of course is the ship in. And that's a diesel crossing Worsbrough Bridge. So we've now left Worsbrough Bridge, and that's the Iron Bridge. You all know where that is. Where it is. On his way to Kendal Green. And of course Kendal Green's the boundary of Worsbrough. That's Kendal Green crossing. So this, of course, is Kendal Green today. And there's a man there walking his dog. Hope he's got one of them poop bags. Yeah. You would never believe that industrial setting, like it used to be, Ryan, it were horrible. Smoke and fumes and things all over, you know. I mean, now it's such an idyllic place, that train thing. But this is a lovely film. This is the actual Bayer Garratt. And look, they've called it the Monster. The railway man used to call it the Worsbrough Beast. I think that's 1925 at Gorton where it was built. Number 2395. Well, basically two engines in one. You know, there were a tender at back and a tender at front for the coal. You know, but it was roughly 3 times as much as the Flying Scotsman. 180 tons, and it was specially built for this Worsbrough Bank. It was 1 in 40 bank. Went up and down 18 times. 18 times from Wombwell Junction. That was, if anybody wants to know where that is, that was up near Levy where I worked. But as I say, this is Gorton when it was built. Lovely film. And it's telling you there how many it's boiler.
So how long was the trains?
Well, I don't know how long, but it was a massive beast, as you can say. I mean, as you can see, I mean that on there looks resplendent in its original livery, in its original colour. But of course, when we saw it, it was black breed. You know what I mean? Black bright with all the coal dust, you know. And it used to go at 3 miles an hour. 5 trains. The Garratt, the Bayer Garratt, was at the back of the train. Invented by a bloke called William Garratt. He was an Aussie, an Australian bloke. Now that's it in the same train look. The Bayer Garratt. Now this is where it used to start. This is the Wombwell Junction. And it was roughly 3.5 miles, 1 in 40 up this steep gradient bank, the Worsbrough Bank. And they used to have the Garratt to shove the coal trains up. So it used to go up, that's the Wombwell Junction today. But the Garratt went up 18 times and then came back on its own. Empty OS, we used to call it. So that's going up to Silkstone, look. Silkstone Common. And that's the line as it is today, part of the Penistone Trail. I even filmed a young girl on an horse, look. This is the line again, going up to Silkstone Common. A bit out of Worsbrough like this, but it's just explain where this Garratt went. 18 times up there a day. 3 miles an hour. There were, as I say, 4, sometimes 5 trains shoving the coal. Look, that's the view from Silkstone Common. And the next little clip, you'll see the Garratt. That's the West Silkstone Tunnel. And that's the Garratt at the back, look. And the railwaymen They used to choke in the tunnel with the fumes of the steam and that, you know. That to lay on the floor with like an handkerchief around the neck. These are the electric trains after. Bobos and Cocos they call them. And then look, you see that's the old coal trains. Again, that's the West Silkstone tunnel, and that's a lovely shot. That's Penistone in all its glory. In the 50s. I got this film off Pete Hatfield. Look, the electric lines, 1500 volt DC he worked on. That's Penistone. Very, very busy place, Penistone, in them days. Penistone still, look. And that's some young lads train spotting at Penistone. That's a train coming in from Sheffield.
So is there any of this line left?
Any? No. There's only a little bit, Ryan, there. There's a spur off to Huddersfield. That station, it's still there, the remnants, but it's gone. It's gone. I mean, it was a magnificent station, but it's gone. So where's it? Oh, I know where this is. This is Swathe, right? You know where that viaduct? That's again 1960s. This is from Swathe Bridge. Everybody will know where this is. Look, and that's called Monkspring Junction. The other side of Swathe, where the train branches off to Barnsley. The right-hand spur went to Stairfoot, of all places. Somebody ought to write a song about that, didn't they? Now this is a lovely view. This is Bayer Colliery. An old goods train, an old coal train, pulling out of Bayer Colliery at Dovercliffe. That's Dovercliffe station. So this is the location of the actual Dovercliffe station. The line went straight through here, where we stood now with the railway crossings, and that was the station. Oh, what we're left on it. And that, everybody, that's the Oaks Viaduct, oil mill. Oaks Viaduct. I mean, the smashing little films these, long gone, Oaks Viaduct. The Cudworth Pull and Push used to go across here, a train, Cudworth Pull and Push. That's it, look, an old cine film of the Oaks. This is a steam train on the old Central line from Sheffield Victoria or Sheffield Darnell, and it's going through High Green, and that, would you believe, is going into Stairfoot. I believe that's Stairfoot, that. That's a lovely little film, that. So yeah. Looks like a black 5. I think all the old train spotters will know what it is. And that, I think, is that.